Hello, it's Dr. Ronald Stone with another martial arts podcast. I wanted to talk today a little bit about one of the core principles of Hapkido, which applies to all the other martial arts, of course, which is the concept of the economy of motion. Now, I've been doing the martial arts for 54 years, and I can tell you I've seen lots of videos, lots of demonstrations, lots of technique discussions, and read lots of books and magazines on different concepts. One of the things I realized is that originally the martial arts were taught for combat, and they taught everything because you never know what's going to happen with people slashing and stabbing and punching and kicking in the middle of a giant conflict. So all of the techniques are taught, and as was pointed out to me after I watched the Tom Cruise movie, The Last Samurai, the idea was that if you were very good at a certain group of techniques, like throwing, then you ended up teaching those skills and maybe evolved into judo or jujitsu. If you were built long-legged and flexible and whatever, then you may be into kicking and whatever. And so the arts basically branched off. But originally, they taught all of the techniques because you never knew which one you were going to do. Well, when you see a lot of these demos or a lot of the videos, you'll have somebody, let's say, throw a punch, and they'll just stand there while the expert or the instructor is going to counter, and you'll see then 5, 10, 15, 20 different moves that are super impressive, sometimes at rapid speed. But the point of the matter is that, at least according to the principles of economy of motion and what we're taught in Hapkido, is if you have to do more than 4 moves, you're doing everything wrong and you're probably going to lose the fight. A correct, intensive, real-life scenario situation should end in 4 moves, and if it doesn't, you're in trouble. The thing about it is that, yes, you may learn that on a punch you can block. On a punch you can strike. On a punch you can do an arm bar. On a punch you can throw. You can twist it into a joint lock. But that doesn't mean you're going to do all of those on one move. On one technique. So if somebody throws a punch, it should be block and counter strike. It should be twist into an arm bar and break or kick, and then that's it. You're not going to be doing 5 and 6 and 7, 8, 9 techniques. Somebody's doing it to make themselves look good. But in a real situation, your opponent is not going to throw a punch and stand there with his arm out. And even for those who advocate practicing reality-based martial arts, reality-based fighting is dirty and sloppy and messy. The reason that you practice, say, more slowly, and you practice a technique is obviously to perfect it, so that when you have to do it in a sloppy manner, it's still effective. But that's not what we're seeing. The other thing is you have a certain amount of muscle memory, and if you don't practice a technique for months on end, you're not going to instinctively recall it that well. So yes, you train like you're going to fight, you fight like you're training, and you train and train and train. But you're not going to train 1,000 techniques for each individual attack that you receive. So it's called the economy of motion, and essentially when you're making a demo, when you're teaching a student, you're better off to teach them 3 or 4 moves that are super effective, that work for you, that are your favorites, and then at another session teach them a different 4 moves or 3 moves or even 1. But I've seen videos where somebody is demonstrating breaking out of a chokehold, and they've got, first you move inside this, then you twist here, then you bend him over, then you hit him with this, then you bring your leg up, and then you bring him to the ground, when in reality, jabbing your spear hand into his throat or your thumb into his eye might end everything right there. So yeah, you can teach each one of those moves, but don't try to teach all of the 50 moves at one time on one technique. It's just wrong, and it's going to get someone injured in a real life encounter. Hope some of you out there agree with me, and thank you, and hopefully we'll be talking soon.